Are you an engineer and you're currently living paycheck to paycheck, despite the fact that you are earning $90,000 and even $100,000 per year? Well, if that is the case, I want you to know that you're in the right place because I'm going to be sharing with you why I believe engineers should not budget, but instead I'm going to share the secret with you that helped me stop living paycheck to paycheck. Now, when I was in college, I was working 3 jobs and I was barely making $30,000 per year. So, of course, I was super excited when I was getting ready to get out of college and I had a job offer that was going to be paying me $65,000 per year. And when I had that job, I was like, man, I'm going to be rich because instead of working 3 jobs to earn 30, I'm working 1 job and I'm earning double that. So as I started to work, I was like, okay, I got money to spend here, money to spend there. But because I was not focused on tracking my income and my expenses, it caused for me to get into a deficit and I was living paycheck to paycheck. Now, I was living paycheck to paycheck for about 4 to 5 years and I didn't realize like how big of a toll it was taking on me. I would go spend my money, pay all my bills, and then I have to wait till the next week to decide, okay, do I want to have fun or do I want to hang out with friends or what is it that I really want to do? So I tried budgeting apps. I tried, the 50, 30, 20. I tried all these different things and they did not work. And part of the reason why they didn't work for me is because most of this caused for me to really not enjoy life while I was working. So I happened to come across a book. It was called From the Trash Man to the Cash Man, How Anyone Can Get Rich Starting from Anywhere by Myron Golden. And in that book, he shared a secret formula that I started to implement into my financial life. And it has helped me be able to stop living paycheck to paycheck and even be able to save a lot of money. And that's what I'm going to be sharing with you today. Now, with this particular framework, there are 6 steps. And once you implement these steps, I personally believe that you will be able to not live paycheck to paycheck and have a more financially stable life. Now, when I first implemented this, it took me about 6 months for me to really have a hold on it and be able to save money. But I was able to start seeing results very, very fast. But as far as being able to save up and as far as being able to just consistently be able to do this, it took me about 6 months. And I also had some changes that I had to make. Now, the reason why I believe that engineers should stop budgeting is because the mindset of budgeting is like, man, look, I got enough money in my bank account, I can go spend it. And that will end up causing you to really be in a world of hurt, especially if an emergency comes up, or maybe you do want to go and have some fun or entertainment or visit family or visit friends. And now you have to sit there and wait until you get paid again. Or you end up using your credit cards and you max them out. And now you're paying all this interest because you have all of this consumer debt. Well, all of that can be solved if you do this one thing, which is what I'm going to be sharing with you today. And that is managing your money. Now, when I first got started or I first heard about this, managing your money, I'm like, what is really the difference between managing and budgeting? So first, when it comes to managing your money, what you are doing is you are giving a designated place for your money to go. So that means that, hey, look, I'm going to take a percentage of, this money and I'm going to put it over in this area. Now, when you put that money into that area, you now will create a budget on how much of that money you are going to spend. And I'm going to be sharing that with you in this example. And let's just say that you were earning $1,000 per week. All right. You're earning $1,000 per week. And you said, okay, Matt, how is it that I should manage $1,000 per week since we're not talking about budgeting? Well, the first thing that you should do is first, I would say 50 or actually 10%. Now, this 10% personally for me is, you may not do this, but I do this. That is, I pay 10%. 10% and that is for tithing. And I'll actually change colors. So I personally, because of my beliefs, I personally pay tithe. So this is 10%. And that is to the tithe. And I might actually switch colors again, since that is going out. There we go. So 10% of this money is going to go to tithing. Now, with that being said, what is 10% of $1,000? That would be $100. So $100 is going to go to me tithing. Now, moving on to number 2 is living. 50% of the income is going to go towards my living expenses. So in this particular case, 50% is going to be $500. And I don't just do this with like my paycheck. I do this anytime I have money coming in. I always split it up into this format. Now, the next thing is we have saving, all right? Saving. Everyone always talks about saving. And one of the things that I discovered is that when I was saving, I would say, look, I'm going to save $500 from this paycheck. Put $500 aside, and then what happens? An emergency comes up, and then I end up having to take that money out of savings, and then I have to replenish it. And all I'm doing is putting money there, taking it out, putting money there, taking it out. So you want to have 10% going to your savings, and I had 10% going to my savings, so that was $100. Then I ended up getting to the point of like, okay, now I need my finish free. And that's what Myron Golden called it. He called it finish free. And this is basically your investments where you have your money working for you, because your money is always going to be able to work harder than you can work. So $100 will go over here. Then for number 5, what is it that you want to do? You want to be able to educate yourself. And the reason why it's important to educate yourself is because you are really the biggest investment or your greatest asset. And the reason why I say that you are your greatest asset is because we can go out there and learn different skill sets that can allow for us to increase our value to the marketplace, that will enable us to get a lot more money than just working our 9 to 5. So you want to be able to educate yourself, and we will put $100 here. Now this last one, I honestly never ever thought about this, and $100 goes here. And when I really started to do this, this allowed for me to enjoy the fruits of my labor. It allowed for me to appreciate going to work and just be able to live life. Because I mean, one of the sayings that my dad always said is, Matthew, always remember this. You are living so that you are working so that you can live. You are not living so you can work. So this last one is called fun. All right. You want to have fun. And that's going to be 10% of your check too. Now, I already have an idea on what you're thinking. You're like, man, Matthew, that sounds good. I can plug my numbers in. I can do 10%, 50, 10, 10, and 10 and all the other ones. But right now, I'm not able to do this evenly. And I want to let you know that that is okay. Why is that okay? Because I didn't start with this. That's part of the reason why it took me 6 months to be able to get to a point to where I was able to save. I did not start with this. However, I did utilize the system. Now you might be sitting there thinking like, well, if you didn't start with these percentages, how is it that you were still able to utilize the system? Well, what I did was most of my income, and really it was about 80% of my income, I was living off of. I had many subscriptions, Netflix, Hulu, Apple TV, Stars, and then I had Amazon Prime, and I had all these other things that were coming out of my check, and I had to get a hold of them. So starting off, I was at 80%. I was able to save some money, but instead of saving 10%, I saved 5%. And then coming over here, instead of saving, 10%, I end up saving like 2%. or investing 2%. My education, I had another 2%. And then when I got here to having fun, I had another 2%. And then, of course, my tithe stayed at 10%. So I ended up, let's see, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So having fun was 1%. So I basically kept all this the same. So that's 80, 90, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this is how I started. This is how I started off. Now, the secret to this is not necessarily how much money are you putting over here. Now, for instance, for me, this was just set. I was just 10%. 10%, that was it. But what I had to do is I had to get a hold of my living expenses. And once I got a hold of my living expenses, now because I developed the habit of what? Putting money into savings, putting money into finishing free, putting money towards educating, going and purchasing books, going and purchasing courses, then also putting money towards having fun. Well, when I started having fun, I'm like, look, I got to figure out a way to increase this fun because I want to be able to do more things. So that's what allowed for me to start lowering my living expenses to eventually get to 50%. So having the habit is really what is the most important thing, which it doesn't matter the amount that you put over there. If you can consistently, every time you get paid, put money into these categories, you are going to be able to have financial independence because you are developing the biggest and most valuable skill that many rich people have, which is managing their money. So when you get to living, you have 50%. Okay, now you can start allocating to say, okay, I'm only going to spend this much on my rent or my mortgage. I'm only going to spend this much on my car note. I'm only going to spend this much on utilities. And you start tracking your income. And now you are able to have that financially free life that you desire to have. So I hope that this video was helpful. If so, make sure you leave a like and I will catch you in the next video.